Blessings, blessings. Hello, friends. Welcome back to Charlie's Truth YouTube channel. If you are new here, hello. My name is Charlie and I'm an intuitive guide and energy channeler. I'm all about people living and embracing their truth, whatever that is, whatever that looks like, whatever that means for them. I believe it has a purpose. So I wanted to come through. I've been seeing a lot of posts about manifestations, and I wanted to share with you all a perspective that I have regarding manifesting and all of the tools and techniques that's out there regarding manifesting. So how do I start? So before, I feel like I feel like I'm part of a spiritual community, right? I feel like all my timelines are about spirituality in some sort, some way, right? And in my world, in my life, people consider me the person that's all about energy. And so it is a big pivotal part of my identity and a part of my lifestyle. And so when I got into the spiritual world, I will say probably in 2017, and this is not even counting religion. I'm talking about the spiritual world where everything exists. All the things can exist. All the things is happening. And all the religions can happen and exist here. When I got into this about 2017, I learned a lot very fast. I learned that there was this whole world out there of people who were just exploring the possibilities of life and exploring spirituality and exploring what God means to them and what God feels like to them and exploring their gifts. And so a lot of the language that was used in the spiritual communities, though I lived these things out, I didn't have words for them. So when it came to manifesting, I got into the world and I see all these rules and all these techniques, the 555, write it down and then you got to let it go, or write it down and think about it's negative. I've heard so many different things about like all these rules around manifesting, which I thought was always so interesting because for me, I felt like it was easier to create and manifest when I didn't know the rules, when another human being wasn't telling me how it has to be. I felt like it was way easier to not even know rules existed and to just make shit happen. But the minute that I started hearing about all these rules around manifesting, it started putting pressure on when I was manifesting, when I was saying to the universe, I desire this, when I was praying, I would subconsciously be thinking about these rules that supposedly exist. Write it down all these times. You got to write it in your book, then burn a candle, then burn a bay leaf, and all these other things. And I'm not saying that these things don't work. But what I do want to get at is that it doesn't have to be that way. And the reason why I want to say this is because I'm a person who learned through experience. And what I do know for sure is that you don't need tools and you don't need all these rules in order to manifest. You don't need all that in order to create. Sometimes your intention is enough. Sometimes just having that intention and setting that intention is enough. I remember growing up and, being a young adult, and I would want things, but I lived in such a fearful place. I always thought that something would drop. I always thought that something would interfere with what I was creating. While I was going to college, I thought that I wouldn't have enough money to finish paying it off, and therefore I wouldn't get a degree. Like, I had these really deep-rooted fears that things couldn't happen for me or things weren't going to happen for me because that's what I saw all around me. My life just felt too good to be true compared to what I was seeing around me. And so I always had these fears, but nonetheless, I was fearless and attempting. I would try. I would be scared of shit, but I would try. And so everything I went for, I succeeded, and I did better than I could have expected. And so I learned really quickly how faith works, that maybe faith without works is dead. But what I tell you, like, I would still go for it. Even though I thought that something would happen and I wouldn't be able to graduate, I still did it. I still would go to school. I still would show up despite my fears. And what happened? I graduated, and I would graduate at the top of my class, And anything I ever wanted, like, I would still be able to get without writing it down 5 times, without going to sleep with it on my mind, without constantly repeating it. Like, no, like, and with fear in my body. I would in my mind, I had a conscious awareness of these thoughts I had, and I would still go for it. And it didn't stop me from being able to manifest. And I'm not saying that that's the way to do it, but what that did show me was that I don't need a whole bunch of rules. I don't need a whole bunch of plans. I don't need a whole bunch of tools and resources. Yes, candle magic works and it helps you focus your intention. Yes, writing it on paper and making it plain works. Yes, all of that works. And even without that, you can still manifest. Even with fear, you can still manifest. Like, I know that there may be only so much, there may be levels to it, and maybe you may not be able to sustain it, and therefore you need to do that inner work. But for the most part, being able to manifest doesn't just happen because you're following a bunch of rules. You know, I think that each of us have our own way of manifesting. Each of us have our own way of making magic with the universe, right? Like co-creating with spirit in this realm to create in a way that it benefits the whole, right? Everything we do is benefiting the whole in one way or another, whether or not we recognize that. And so spirit wants us to have our wildest dreams. They want us to be innovative and create these amazing things and build on top of what someone else has already created, maybe in another lifetime, right? So that we can continue to evolve as a humankind, you know? And so there's so much potential there. But and I really just want to put this message out there that there is more than one way to manifest. Not every rule or every technique that people show you is going to be for you. Some will work and some won't. But I want to encourage you to trust yourself. You have been creating all your life. You have been creating all your life. Think about it. You have been creating all of your life. Think about that. And so please don't get too caught up on the rules that other people are making and making it rules in your life, because when you adopt those rules, then your life will start playing by them. But if that's not a rule you want or you feel like you need, don't adopt that. Don't make that part of your world. You don't have to write things 5 times or 10 times. There's some people who can just speak and things happen. You know, manifesting doesn't have to be this thing we fear, this thing we get overwhelmed about, this thing that we overanalyze. It could really be so simple. It could be as simple as you saying to spirit, like, hey, I desire to feel this way, or I desire to meet this kind of person, or I desire this work. I know that I used to always say, like, I used to write everywhere, and I probably still have it written on one of my walls now, that I want to work remotely. You know, and then it happened. And then I was like, wait, but I want to work remotely doing this. You know, like, I'm leveling up my desires, because now that I got that thing, I want to go even further. Now I know this can happen. All right, let's go further. And it took years for me to get the remote living, but it also felt correct. You know, like, it felt like it was right on time. And so it's such an interesting process. But my main point of this video, and my main point was just because I felt inspired, because I keep seeing posts about how you manifest, how you manifest, how you manifest. And I just want to remind you that you have already been manifesting. Yes, you want to do it intentionally now. So if you want to do it intentionally now, think about ways that have already worked for you and just keep doing that. Or, like, you know, try something new. You can try out these techniques, but please don't overwhelm yourself. Please don't stress yourself out. Please keep it as simple and as flowy for you as possible, because you don't want to stress what you're trying to create and create tension around what you're trying to create. Like, no, you don't need to do that. And yes, you can be scared or think it can't happen for you and still manifest it. It happens. Like, you know, but I just want to encourage you to trust yourself, check in with yourself, consider things that you've already done in the past, that you've already manifested, that you've already created, and what did you do? If you're getting caught up of all these manifesting techniques and you feel like they're becoming a distraction, try taking a break from all of them. Try just taking a break from doing manifestation techniques and focus on prayer and writing it out, right? Like maybe, because that's another way of doing it too, but nonetheless, it takes away from all those other rules. So yeah, please don't overwhelm yourself. You can create with Spirit. Spirit wants to co-create with you, even without all the rules, even without all the techniques. Like there are ways. I didn't get very specific in it because I didn't look anything up. This was just something that came to me earlier, and since I'm dressed, I'm like, let me just share this now. And so here I am. And so I love you all. I hope that this is helpful. I hope that this encourages or inspires someone to let go if they're feeling overwhelmed or they're putting pressure on what they are trying to create. Just let up a bit and allow it to expand and grow and show up in your reality right on time. So I love you, and trust that if it doesn't show up, that there's a reason for that too. You know, because it just might not be showing up now doesn't mean it won't show up later. It just doesn't, you know, you're always creating, and it's always things building on top of each other, you know. Nothing really stands alone, yeah, in this world if you think about it. Like everything is bringing along a whole bunch of other things, whether there's a whole bunch of other ideas, a whole bunch of other lives that lived. It's just a mixture of, nothing stands alone is what I'm getting at. So anywho, I love you all. I pray that you are well, and I can't wait to speak to you soon. Let's keep the convo going in the comments. Love you. Bye.